peeps. Welcome back to another episode of Coast to Coast Horror with your host, me, Crystal Connor, a trusted name and terror, hailing all the way from Seattle, Washington,
And me, Lady Shasha, the mistress of the snark, coming to you all the way from sunny Orlando, Florida,
where we talk about all things horror from sea to shining sea and sometimes abroad. Hi guys. So this episode, if you guys watched the last episode, you already know we're going to be talking about zombies because we don't like them, but apparently we do because we have a really long list for you guys. I think Sasha came up with 20 and I came up with 15. So I don't think we're going to go back and forth this time just because there's so many. Since Sasha was the one who decided that we were going to do zombies, we're going to let her, actually she started last time, so I think I'm going to this time. So
because I might be long-winded.
Mine is going to be long-winded too. And I need to let you guys know, as a horror writer who writes terrifying science fiction and who has written a zombie story myself, I believe that the zombie is not really a monster, but it is a virus. And so some of the movies on my list are a virus because the movies kind of follow the same theme and tempo and behaviors as a traditional zombie movie. So I think that's why I got so many of them, is because I believe that a zombie is not actually a monster, but a virus. So I have 15, I have an honorable mention and a tie for my number one.
Okay.
So my number 15 is a movie out of UK in 2016 called Infected. And this movie opens up with a guy waking up in his flat and he can't get outside. And later we find out that the army has sealed his entire flat from the outside. So the people who are inside can't get out. And through the film, they are trying to figure out what's going on. Some of the residents get to other residents by breaking through the walls and congregating that way. And it's just, even though you don't really see the zombie, the way that the military and the government is behaving suggests that it is some type of a zombie outbreak, or just like an outbreak. I think the reason I think zombie films are virus films is because it's always an outbreak, right? It's not an invasion from, outer space. It's not, a gang of motorcycle guys going around killing people. It's always an outbreak. And so in Infected from the UK 2016, that's what's going on. My number 14 is a movie coming out of France in 2009 called Mutants. Now, the reason I liked this movie so much is because even though it has a lot of gore in it, like what most zombie fans like, a man and a woman, a couple, and he is turning into a zombie, but it takes a long time for him to turn. Like, we get to see him turning in stages. And I think one of the coolest things about this movie that I liked is once he became full-fledged zombie, he protected his wife from the other zombies. So I thought that was really cool. He's still, even in his fully transformative state, was still in love with her enough to make sure that she didn't get infected. So I thought that was really cool. And it has a pretty kick-ass opening scene. I'm not going to go too much into these because we've got a lot to get through, you guys. My number 13 is Perkins 14. This is out of 2009. Out of you guys remember the After the Dark series? This is one of the films that was in those series out of 2009. And what we find out with Perkins 19, it opens up in a sheriff who is holding prisoners down in the cell. And we find out that the doctor maybe didn't take his Hippocratic oath seriously. So I don't want to give anything away. That's Perkins 19. Perkins 14, I'm sorry. 12 also comes from After Dark films. And this one is called Mulberry Street. Now, the virus in this one is spread by rats. It's in New York. And when I remember when I first went, the first time I went to New York and I saw a rat, I freaked out, but everyone's like, oh, they're just rats. It doesn't matter where you live in New York. You can live on Fifth Avenue. You can live in, one of the worst boroughs that there are. Everyone has rats in New York. It's just because of the way that they deal with their sanitation. Just everyone has rats.
Even in the high rises, like the luxury high rises have rats, because when you try to exterminate one building, they'll just go to the next building over and come back. So in order to get rid of them, you'd have to exterminate the entire city.
Right, right. And so as the rats are moving around, and finding places where people should be jumping, because they're in New York, no one is like tripping over the rats because they're basically like pigeons. Like people, I think in New York, they don't really take seriously that rats do carry and can transmit diseases. And so what was like really amazing about this story is the diversity, not only in race relations, but sexual orientation. So this girl is in the army and she's coming home on leave to get back to her two dads. And throughout the building, you see all kinds of different people and their lifestyle, not throughout the building, but throughout the movie, as things get more and more dire. It just shows the diversity, not only just in race, but within different communities altogether, like the gay community, the immigrant community, everyone's down at the local bar. It's just because it's such a small section of New York, it's just a neighborhood. It just really makes it more personable, and when things go wrong, you take it more personal. I really, really, really enjoyed Mulberry Street, 2009. My 11 is out of France. It's called The Horde. Now, I love this movie because of the rugged bad guy who has to join forces with the police officers. The reason it's kind of high on my list is because I didn't like the way that it ended, and I really didn't like the female lead in that movie. She just drove me friggin' mad. But The Horde, I think, might be on everybody who is like a hardcore zombie fan. I think everyone has that movie on their list.
I haven't seen that one. What I need to do is be writing these down as you're saying these. I've seen Mulberry Street. That was in a series. I want to say it was like 8 Films to Die For or something like that.
It was After Dark Films.
Yeah, After Dark
Films. Okay, so that's my number 11. My number 10 is Pontypool.
Oh yes, I've heard of that one, but I haven't seen it either.
Oh
but
my God.
That one's Australian, right?
Pontypool is out of 2008. And what makes this movie kind of interesting is you don't really get to see the zombies. And we're not sure if it's the radio signal that made people sick or if it was the fog. It's been a while since I've seen this movie, but it might like drive you nuts because it's a bottle film. It all takes place in the radio station. But I think since you already like zombies kind of more than me, you would like Pontypool. So that's my number 10. My number 9 is a movie called Cargo. Not the full-length one.
Yes.
But the short one, the short film, there was a finalist in the Tropfest Film Festival from Australia. And I didn't write down the year, but it's a short film, not I think that they made it into a full length.
Yeah, I saw the full length version that's on Netflix. I didn't know that it came from a short film.
Yeah, so I didn't see the long version. I don't think that I have to. The short version is when I first saw that and learned that it was just a finalist, I was like digging all over to see who beat that movie, because the short film is absolutely phenomenal and you can find that on YouTube. So that's number 9. Number 8 is The Crazies from 2010, which is a remake of, well, it's supposed to be a remake of Night of the Living Dead, but I'm not really sure.
No, it's a remake of The Crazies. The original Crazies is like 1978 or 1979, but it is there was an original The Crazies, and I might have the same director as Night of the Living Dead.
Okay, so scratch that because I didn't see the original Crazies. Wait, did I? If I did, I don't remember. I didn't like it. I saw the Crazies. I saw the newer Crazies first. I think I did see the because wasn't there a black lead in that one as well?
Not in the original. I'm not sure about the remake. I don't recall seeing the remake, but I did see the original, and I don't recall a black lead. I think there was a black scientist in it that came to the town to help figure out what was going on.
I did see that. I didn't, for some reason, it was just, I don't know. I was one of the ones I just didn't like. So.
Oh, it's even earlier, 1973.
Oh, okay.
The original Crazies.
Yeah.
And
so I think I might have seen it. It seems like I did, but it just didn't. I guess I wasn't impressed by it because it's not on my list.
Yeah, I didn't really care too much for the original Crazies either. It is a George A. Romero film.
Okay. Speaking of George A. Romero, my number 7 is Night of the Living Dead. And I was surprised that it's at number 7, considering that I don't like zombie movies. But I was in love with the main character. I just knew that I was going to grow up and have all his babies. It was just really interesting and inspiring and just exciting to see a Black man in charge like that in a black and white movie. I mean, he was the one in charge. The way he was talking to people, I was just like, oh, hubba hubba. And there's I met George A. Romero in 2011, and that actor, he was at a different booth. But when I was sitting with George A. Romero, I was like, that actor that was in your Night and Living Dead, I'm gonna marry him. And he was like, he's right over there. And I was like so embarrassed, but he still looked just as good as he did in the movie. And I was like, okay, well, hey, I'm Crystal. Like, it was just like, he was such an amazing person to meet with. Sometimes these big name guys, hear stories about them being like rude or pretentious or not really wanting to spend time with the fans or like rushing everybody along because there's a long line. He wasn't like that at all. He like sat with you and he talked with you, and it was just amazing. He was just an amazing person to meet in person. So yeah, that's my my George A. Romero memory. Okay, now number 6. This might, I don't know if you're gonna like call this a technicality or not, but it is number 6. The 2013 movie called Contracted. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have, and I think that counts.
Okay, because
it
at
counts.
the end, she becomes like at the very end of the scene, she is what a traditional zombie. When people are thinking about what a zombie is, she would be that. What I thought was really interesting about this movie was how selfish everyone around her was. Like, no one really wanted to help her. They wanted her in their lives because of what they thought she could give them. It was really kind of heartbreaking to see her plight, to see her deteriorate and not having the support system that someone in her situation might need.
I'm glad that you put that on. Sometimes my mind starts thinking and I get ahead of myself. I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's okay.
I'm glad you added that to your list because I completely forgot about that movie, and it was a pretty good one.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, you guys, that's 2013. So number 5 is a movie called The Signal that comes out of 2007. Now, this movie, whatever's happening to the people is happening through the TV. What is interesting about this movie is it is directed by 3 different directors. So I guess like the first part of the movie is one director, and then when the next director takes over, you can tell that something else is going on, and then the third director brings it home in the end. And what I thought was really interesting is the second act in this movie is the most gory, and it's the most violent, but because it's comedy, it tones it down, because if it wasn't comedic, I think it would have been way over the top. It would have been like really brutal, but they did tone it down with the comedic relief. So Signal from 2007. Number 4 is Doomsday. Have you seen that?
No, I've not seen that one.
Doomsday is from 2008, again, because I believe viruses are zombie movies. This movie takes place when it first opens, there's a massive outbreak, and the rich people and the military wall off a large section of the city, and they're like, you know what? Good luck to you. And that happens in like, I want to say, I can't remember the year that was supposed to happen, but 33 years after that, they find life outside the wall. And so they send a team to go find out what's going on. And what's interesting about this movie is, while everyone in the wall has advanced technologically and medically and futuristically, because it's like all futuristic within the wall, on the outside of the wall, they have reverted back to medieval times because they didn't have the resources to get the power grid on. And it's a really interesting blending of both the past and the future and finding out what happened. So it's the star of the girl who was in Underworld, where she jumps off the building in her black coat. So she stars in that. So Doomsday out of 2008, and it's a UK movie. Number 3 is 28 Days Later out of the UK. Super in love with everything about that movie, especially our main actor. Number 2 was Blood Quantum. Now, this movie is so original. Okay, so in this movie, the American Indians are immune to the zombie outbreak. And so they go back to their res and they lock out all the white people, except for one of the guys has a white girlfriend who's pregnant. So she kind of gets on my nerves because even though the only reason she's there is because of him, she pulls the whole Becky move, the whole Karen move, the whole entitlement move, and she's bringing other white people to the reservation and they are not letting them in. And I think it was really like a scene that just like got under my skin so bad is one of the white guys brought an infected blanket into the reservation.
Oh, and you know the history behind that.
Right. I almost lost my mind when they did that, but I was just like, not to the, it is a zombie movie. It's also social commentary, but it's an amazing movie. And that's why it is number 2 on my list. So now here comes my honorable mention. Another movie out of France. This movie is called oh my God, Les Affamés. In English, it means ravenous. Now, what is amazing about this movie is the group of survivors is mostly women. There's only 3 men involved. One is an elderly guy, one is like middle-aged, and one is a boy. We find out as the movie goes on, because they've been living with the zombies for quite some time. And so it appears as when everyone first became a zombie, they left and they went to the city, but then they came back because there was nothing left to eat. And these zombies, they're also building structures around the countryside that we don't really know what the significance is of it. But it's long, it's not like long and drawn out. Because all the characters are women, the movie has more of an emotional feel to it. I hope I'm making sense with that. And it's not like a girly movie, because one of the badass one who used to be the perfect wife, the suburbia woman with like the perfect manicured nails and driving the Mercedes, at the end, because it is more character driven, at the end though, they give you gorehounds exactly what you want, because she is like, you know what, let me pull out my machete, and she just goes to town. Even the little girl, and I'm gonna stop there. It's on Netflix right now. I was surprised to see that there. It is Ravenous from 2017, and it's just different to see a survival movie with the core of characters being women. And there's another character that's there. He's like dressed up like he's been in the army, and he's carrying a sea bag or a duffel bag. And every once in a while he pops up out of nowhere, like they're sitting in the truck and he's like, raw, and everyone jumps. And he's like, oh, that happens every time. And you're like, how many times are you gonna like, or don't you know what's going on? And it's super frightening because he always comes right as it's super tense, and you're like, oh my God. And then here he comes joking around like, dude, we're in an apocalypse. Okay, why are you playing? This is not funny, go away. he drove me mad. And so my number 1, there's a tie, you guys, because I couldn't figure out which one I liked best, and they're both shorts. So my first number 1 is a movie out of 2011. It is a short. It's called Play Dead. Now, this movie is told from the point of view of dogs, and we get to meet each dog as their owner falls a victim to the undead. And then they form a pack, and then we watch them as they try and navigate the zombie apocalypse. It's a really good movie. I think it's less than a half an hour, but it has everything that you would want in a zombie movie told from the POV of dogs.
Wow, I have not heard of that one. That sounds interesting though. I gotta find it.
Play Dead. I think you can find it on YouTube. And then my number 1 is Danger World, another short zombie movie told with an all-black cast. The little girl is the one who's the star. And what is most frightening about this movie is how young she is once she's on her own. That's another thing about my honorable mention. At the end of the movie, it's the little girl, these girls, very young girls. It's like when you think about how bad and how brutal and how things could imagine being in that type of a world where it's now apocalyptic situation, and you have a little girl on her own. That's what happens in Danger World, and that's what happens in Les Femmes, which is Ravenous. So those are my 15, 16, 17 movies that I found, even though I don't like zombie movies.
This is going to be so wild because out of all those movies, we only have one movie in common.
Really?
Yes, my whole list is all different movies except for one. That is what, but I'm glad because that makes this video so much more dynamic. And where you talked about the zombies being a virus, I'm kind of the opposite. I don't like virus zombie movies. I generally don't like rage zombies, and virus zombies they're just not my wheelhouse. I tend to like more the old school zombies that like literally rise from the grave and they're kind of lumbering around. I especially like it in the movie. Like a movie goes up points in my book when they actually show them coming out of the grave. I just think that's amazing and cool. I did not include any George A. Romero movies on my list because it's pretty much known that they are iconic culturally, and I just didn't want to go over the same thing again. There's not much more that can be said about them that hasn't already been said. They're just cemented in our horror history, like that they're on another level. Honestly, I don't rewatch them that much. I think the one I watch the most is Dawn of the Dead out of the three.
I wouldn't watch Dawn of the Dead because you know what? I really don't like my comedy and horror mix. Just like I don't think pineapple goes on pizza. Don't come for me, okay? Pineapples do not go on pizza, okay? Okay, we're done talking about it.
The other thing I didn't include is, as much as I love the Evil Dead movies, those are deadites and they're not technically zombies. They are corpses occupied by demons. That's why they're called deadites. So I didn't include them. They are disqualified. So I'm going to go to my number 15, which is a 1974 film called Sugar Hill. And Sugar Hill is about this woman whose fiance was harassed by these mobsters to sell his, can't remember whether it was a restaurant or a nightclub or maybe a combination of two, to the mobsters. He wouldn't sell his property, so they killed him. Then the title character, her name is Sugar Hill. She goes to see Mama Matrice and asks her how to summon Baron Samedi so that he could help her raise an army of the dead to avenge her fiance's death.
Can I ask you a question? Is that a zombie or is that necromancy?
They are listed as zombies and they come out of the grave as zombies, and they're called a zombie army.
But she summoned them.
She asked Baron Samedi, who is he's the Lord of the Dead.
That's a necromancer. Those aren't zombies.
I'm calling them zombies. The movie calls them zombies. They say zombie on the back of the VHS. They're zombies.
Okay, and also, they're zombies. They're zombies.
She gets to rock this beautiful white and red jumpsuit. And she comes, there's one scene I'm going to insert in this video, where she comes around the corner. She's like,
"Hey, Whitey."
Oh my God.
You have to watch it. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
It's solid 1970s exploitation.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm on it.
Speaking of exploitation, my number 14 is Frank Henenlotter's Frankenhooker, which is from 1990. Now that one is about this guy whose fiance gets killed in a lawnmower accident. And so he decides he wants to reanimate her corpse, but he doesn't have enough parts because she got chopped up in the lawnmower. So because he's a chemistry student, he decides to invent super crack so that he can lure prostitutes to get their body parts to rebuild his girlfriend. I know that sounds like a fever dream.
You know what that sounds like? It sounds like Frankenstein. That's not a zombie.
Frankenstein's monster is a zombie. He is a reanimated corpse. He is a zombie.
Zombies,
he's the most famous zombie, but he is a zombie. A reanimated corpse is, I'm sticking with that. That's my definition. A reanimated corpse is a zombie. Frankenstein's monster is a zombie.
Frankenstein's monster and this what did you call her? A hookin' Frankenstein?
Frankenhooker.
Frankenhooker, okay, they're put together by scientists, which could be an advanced stage of necromancy.
I'm still calling them zombies. If you were dead and then you came back from the dead and you weren't the same, you're a zombie.
No, but it depends on how you come back from the dead. You guys leave a comment below and let us know.
Yeah, you tell us what you think.
Because one, your first two movies, those aren't zombies, dude.
They are zombies.
They are undead, but they are undead. They are, but they were summoned by magic and with science. So that doesn't count.
It counts to me.
Okay.
Fun fact about Frankenhooker: the director Frank Henenlotter also directed Basket Case and Brain Dead. My number 13, you're not going to argue with me about. This is a 2020 movie, brand new, comes from South Korea. It's called #Alive.
Ooh.
It's on Netflix, and it's about this boy who's essentially, I'm calling him a boy. He might be a teenager. He might be a college student. He's like in that age range of 17 to 20. We aren't really told his age, but that's what I'm guessing. He becomes trapped in his apartment or his parents' apartment during a zombie outbreak, and he has to try to survive. And it's actually a pretty interesting movie.
Did he like fall in love with the girl that he was trying to save?
Well, actually, the girl saved him.
Oh, okay.
Yes, she saved him. She had more survival skills, and she was better at killing zombies and making traps and that type of thing. And he was about to starve to death until she noticed him across her apartment building, was across from his apartment building, and they ended up rigging up a line, and she sent some food down the line to him, and they started fighting the zombies together. The zombies in this movie are fast rage zombies, which I don't typically like, but I overcame that because the movie was so well done.
I'm gonna watch it. #Alive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My number 12 is the one movie that we have in common, and that's Blood Quantum. And for the very same reasons, and also I want to note that not only was it a Native American story, they made sure that the Native Americans in the cast were actual Native Americans. It's written by a Native American, and it's directed by a Native American.
Yep.
Which I really like. And I like the gore, and it was pretty good.
All of those. I know this sounds bad, you guys, but it just made it even easier to like despise the white people. This is coming from a Black person living in America, a descendant of the Choctaw Nation, where we were marched off our lands. So, you know what I mean? Like it was really, I really enjoyed that movie, and I'm just super happy to see so many American Indians be a part of their own story, and to have them be immune to the diseases that were foreign to them before the colonizers got there. So it was just, if you guys haven't seen it, it's an amazing movie. It's an amazing movie.
My number 11 is a Norwegian film called Dead Snow, and it's about some.
You know what? I actually liked that. The kids that went up to go ski.
And they were in a cabin,
I liked that. Why? Because of the way that they shot the zombies in the snow, and like there's one camera scene where they're like marching around, like marching, going on their mission, and then the zombie looks exactly into the camera. It was so creepy.
Yes.
Like, oh my God. It was really,
and I should mention this, the zombies are Nazi zombies, which makes it even more interesting.
Yeah. It's everyone always does like Nazi zombies. Like there was another, I'm not going to derail you, but I'm going to write it down so that we can talk about it like way.
Well, I reviewed a couple of them. There was one I reviewed from last year. Oh gosh, I can't recall what it was named. I reviewed 2 different Nazi zombie movies, but part of the reason why they put that together is because allegedly there were experiments done by Nazis at the time about reanimating corpses. And then there also is a belief that a lot of other soldiers from different countries thought that they had Nazi zombies because during the war they would shoot people and the people would still keep walking and coming towards them. And it turns out some of the men in the Nazi army, they were coked up. Yeah. They got coked up, and that's why when they got shot, they would keep going for a little while longer than they ordinarily will. But the Allied soldiers that were fighting against them didn't know that. So they were like, oh, these guys must be zombies.
And so imagine the psychological like terror that would be to shoot someone with that type of a weapon and have them keep coming. Like, of course, that's nightmare fuel. Nightmare fuel.
My next one comes from Japan. And it's called One Cut of the Dead.
One Cut of the Dead?
Okay. And And it's very interesting because the first 30 minutes of the movie is in one take. It's all one cut, one continuous camera shot. And the
Wow.
way that it's done is so amazing. The movie is in like 3 parts. The first third is that one take. The second third is a story, a dramatization of how they got the movie to come together. It has like the meanings with the writer, director, the different actors, and then the behind scenes where you have one actor that's an alcoholic and they're worried about whether he's going to be sober for the shoot.
Oh my
And
God.
another character is the daughter of the director, and she's just trying to get her start in working on films, but make her own path and not just, try to use nepotism. And then the third part of it shows you how they did the one cut, like a behind the scenes that shows you, okay, this is how we did this is how we did that. It's really, really cool.
Where can you watch that? Where can you stream it at?
It was on Shudder when I saw it.
Okay. And it's one cut.
One Cut of the Dead. It's from 2017 and directed by Shinichiro Ueda.
I'm not going to write that down because I don't know how to spell it, but I think that One Cut of the Dead from 2017 will give me a good start.
My number 9 comes from 1980, directed by Max Kalmankowicz, and it's called The Children. And it's about how this bus filled with children went through this toxic cloud. And when they came out, they became what the writer calls atomic zombies.
The little kids with the black fingers?
With the black fingernails. The writer called them himself atomic zombies. So I'm going to go with what he said.
Did they eat people?
No, they did not eat people.
Did they infect other people?
They would hug people and people would burn up and die.
That's not an infection.
Hold on. Eating people was not introduced until George A. Romero. There were zombie movies like I Walked with a Zombie and White Zombie from the 1930s and 40s where the zombies did not eat people. That was an invention of George A. Romero.
Film education. Okay. I don't know.
That's okay. We can Siskel and Ebert this. Siskel and Ebert. People tune in to watch Siskel and Ebert argue every week.
That one is not. I'm sorry. You can have 15 and 14, but these kids aren't zombies. They're not. They're not. They're children.
Okay. All right. Well,
and only the children were affected by this toxic fog. They didn't.
It was only because the bus went through that smoke cloud. The adults didn't go through the smoke cloud.
The bus driver was an adult,
but they killed the bus driver.
Right, but these aren't zombies. These aren't zombies. They're not zombies.
My number 8 is a 1972 film called Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things.
Ooh.
Yes, it's a very interesting movie about this director and his actors. He takes them out to this cottage and he's telling them he wants to get them ready for this play that might be about Satanism. I wasn't 100% sure. I was unclear what his play was about. Now he does necromancy and he's playing with things he shouldn't play with. And it makes the dead rise from the grave and come after him and his actors.
Do they turn into zombies?
They were dead in the grave and they rose and tried to kill people. Okay. That's my definition of zombies. Interesting thing about this movie, it's directed by Bob Clark, who went on to direct Black Christmas, A Christmas Story, and Porky's. And what's interesting is when you watch it, it looks like they're in some, subtropical place or they're on an island. They're in Coconut Grove, Miami.
But you know what? In his defense, Miami, because I used to work for a travel firm, and when people wanted to go to like places where they needed a passport and didn't have one, we would direct them to Florida because it is tropics.
It's subtropical.
And be just like the pictures. You can't even tell them a difference between Florida and Aruba, and you don't need a passport. And then like Puerto Rico. So in his defense, Florida is the tropics.
Oh yeah, I wasn't criticizing it. I was mentioning how when you watch the movie, you think that because they get on a boat and they go somewhere and you think that they're going to the tropics, but they never left Miami. So you got in a boat and did what? You went across the other Bay? No. This is one of my favorites, number 7. It's from 1981. It's directed by Andrea Biaggi from Italy, and it's called Burial Ground: Nights of Terror.
Ooh.
Now, this one is one of my favorite ones for seeing the dead rise from the graves, because they took the time. Not only is the special effects makeup great, they put live earthworms on the people's faces.
You know what?
I just
pay me.
I love it.
Speaking of live bugs, I'm gonna take us off on a tangent, just a little one. I'm gonna derail this just for a sec. There's a movie out of Asia. I think it might be an Eastern Indian movie. The American name, or the name in English, is The Ritual. And so this guy is running around, but his story was he didn't want to do the movie because he was afraid of spiders. And so his fans got together and paid this other person to scout the area that he was going to be in to make sure there were no spiders, because he was buried under the ground. He's running through the woods. And like they just wanted him to do this movie so badly that they were like, yeah, let's make sure that there's no spiders anywhere around him. And so there was like people on the set that were like looking at removing spiders, and DVD extras, like one of the boom, the guys that hold the mic, he typed like a fuzzy, not a real one, but like a fuzzy spider from like Halloween onto the boom. And like when the guy looked at it, he like freaked out.
Oh, freaked out.
Museum, yeah. But the whole worms and stuff, like, I'm good. Like, you would have to pay me extra to put dirt in my hair.
Oh, speaking of worms, my next one has leech-like creatures that turn corpses into zombies, and it is Night of the Creeps from 1986.
Wow.
Directed by Fred Decker, starring Scream King Tom Adkins. Tom Adkins, you've seen him in, I think he was in The Fog, he was in Creep Show, Halloween 3. I feel like I'm missing one. If you remember one, put the Tom Adkins movies in the comments, because he was in hella horror movies in the 80s and late 70s.
Was he in Jaws?
I don't know. I don't recall him being in Jaws. Because
the guy that was in the tank underwater when he was screaming with his tank on, with his air tank on, he was actually screaming underwater.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But you probably seen the line from Night of the Creeps when Tom Adkins says,
I got good news and bad news, girls. What? The good news is your dates are here.
What's the bad news?
They're dead.
Check that one out. That was a lot of fun.
I've only seen 2 movies on your list so far, and that's The Children and Blood Quantum. Oh, and Dead Snow. I saw Dead Snow. So much. The movies you listed so far, I haven't seen.
My number 5, you might have seen.
Okay.
It is South Korean. It's a drama horror, in my opinion, and that's Train to Busan.
Yep. Oh my God. Okay, you know what? I don't know why that's not on my list, because I love that movie. I love Train to Busan. I can't believe that's not on my list. Yeah.
And it made me cry. I came to see a zombie movie and I was crying.
I cried throughout it all, because the fat cop that dies, took me over the edge is when the 2 were in the tunnel and they were marching towards the soldiers, and the soldiers couldn't tell if they were zombies or not. So the little girl starts singing their national anthem. I was done, like crocodile ugly tears, because they knew that they were humans and they were safe. Did you watch the part 2?
No, not yet, but it's on my watch list.
I've been seeing like really weird reviews, but I'm not gonna watch it.
My number 4, speaking of sharks that you brought up, Jaws, is Zombie, aka Zombie 2. It's a funny story about it. The Italian director Lucio Fulci tried to market it as a sequel to Night of the Living Dead. Okay. So that's why in some areas it's called Zombie 2, even though there is no Zombie 1. In most places it's Zombie. But it is iconic to me for the scene of the zombie who tries to eat the shark underwater.
Oh my!
And I'm inserting that into this video.
Is it a comedy film?
No, they were dead serious.
Okay.
No, and they put a stunt man in full zombie makeup, and he's swimming alongside the shark, trying to bite the shark. And I just said, this is amazing.
Wow. Zombie.
And my number 3 is Dead Alive, aka Brain Dead, which is from New Zealand and was directed by Peter Jackson, who went on to do Lord of the Rings movies. But Dead Alive, okay, you're going to love this one even more than the Frankenhooker one. A guy takes his mother to the zoo, and she gets bitten by a Sumatran rat monkey, and then that turns her into a zombie, and she tries to eat people from that point on, and she keeps biting people and turning them into zombies, and then he ultimately has to fight all the zombies and save his girlfriend.
Wow. What's it called?
Dead Alive, or the other name was Brain Dead, 1992 in New Zealand. Okay, number 2, we're going to argue about, I just know it, ReAnimator.
Of course we're going to argue. Okay. Really?
Yes. I think that people who get reanimated by science are still zombies.
That's not... Okay. Though they are undead, it's not a virus. It's not a bite. They didn't.
But see, the thing is, I don't consider
out of the grave.
I do not consider virus zombies. I don't. No. I reject. I reject your reality and substitute my own.
You're gonna have to, because ReAnimator is not a zombie movie. You're delusional at this point. You have 3 movies on your list that aren't even zombies.
They
are. My God.
Anyways, it's from 1985. It's Stuart Gordon, who also did From Beyond and Castle Freak. Now, my number 1. You are definitely not going to argue with my number 1 movie.
Okay. Wait, do you have any
honorable mentions? Yes. Okay, my honorable mentions. The first one is Della Morte dell'Amore, which is a co-production between Italy, France, and Germany from 1994. It's also called Cemetery Man, is the other title. It's about a guy that works at a cemetery, but for some reason, after 7 days, the corpses keep coming alive and he has to re-kill them.
Oh, that's definitely a zombie movie.
Mm-hmm. Another one is Black Sheep, which is a co-production between New Zealand and South Korea, which is about zombie sheep. I can't remember how the sheep became zombies, but
okay,
it was a fun movie. And speaking of zombified animals, I have Zom Beavers, which is a 2014 movie. And what's funny is it's filmed in Santa Clarita, California, which I thought was funny because there's a zombie TV show on Netflix called The Santa Clarita Diet, which is about a woman who's a zombie. Now, here's one you can argue with me about. My sister told me that I should put One Dark Night on the list. One Dark Night was that movie with the teenage girls that they were trying to initiate this other girl that made her stay overnight in a mausoleum. But there was a dude that could do telekinesis that recently died and was buried in a mausoleum that was sucking his energy out of the young ladies. And what I thought were reanimated corpses, I thought it was a zombie movie, but my sister said that it's not a zombie movie because the corpses were technically not reanimated. It was him moving them around with his telekinesis.
She's right. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. That's not even close. That's not even, there's not even a necromancer in that. No, that doesn't count.
The last movie, I just want to mention it. It's not really a honorable mention. It's a dishonorable mention, but I watched it the other day. It was a terrible, terrible movie, but I still had fun watching it. It's called The Incredibly Strange Creatures Who Stopped Living and Became Mixed Up Zombies.
That's the title?
Yes, it's from 1964.
Okay, what's it called again?
The Incredibly Strange Creatures Who Stopped Living and Became Mixed Up Zombies. There is an alternate title. If somebody knows the alternate title, put it in the comments below. But it's from 1964. It was featured on Mystery Science Theater 3000, so that tells you how great it is. But the zombies don't show up until the last 12 minutes of the movie. But they reminded me of, you ever seen The People Under the Stairs?
Yes.
The way the people under the stairs looked, I was watching this and I was like, I wonder if Wes Craven watched this and designed those people to look like the zombies from this movie, because they really reminded me of the zombies from this movie.
Where did you watch it?
YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the whole thing's on YouTube. And the
Mystery Science Theater.
Unintentional comedy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were serious when they made this. It's very 1960s. It's about these teenagers, 30-year-old teenagers,
right?
Go to a carnival and a gypsy does something that creates zombies, and there's a whole bunch of musical numbers for no reason. And they're all bad because they didn't have any real dancers. I think they had the actors dance. It's horrible. It's the type of drive-in, well, like I said, Mystery Science Theater 3000. Watch that version of it. You'll have fun.
Movie, you don't even know what's going on anyway.
I talked through the whole movie.
when you watch it on YouTube, is it Theater 3000?
There's both are available. You could watch the movie itself, how it's uploaded, and then there's also a Mystery Science Theater 3000 edit online or on YouTube. So my number one, and you can't argue with this, is Return of the Living Dead.
Nope, I cannot argue with
1985. Dan O'Banion, who was the screenwriter for Aliens and Life Force. And it stars one of my favorite Scream Kings, and that's Miguel A. Nunez.
Yes.
Yes.
Whew, girl.
But yeah, that's my all-time favorite zombie movie. I probably have seen it at least 50 times.
It's crazy that our lists are so wildly different.
Mm-hmm.
But half of your list is not even zombies anyway, so...
I could say the same thing with these viral people.
But touche.
Okay, there's another one that we should discuss. I didn't put it because I was unsure, and also because we talked about it last week, and that's Wreck. Because I'm unclear as to whether the people in the house or the apartment were zombies or whether they were demons.
I think they were zombies because they were infecting other people. We just don't know why. You know what I mean? Like, for me, and I guess this is where we're going to like wildly differ because you think necromancy is a zombieism, but like in my mind, once a zombie is like infecting other people or when it's spread through a virus, you know, because it's that's what a zombie is. Like but there
are some infection movies that aren't zombies, like Demons and Demons 2. They were infecting each other by biting.
Which movie which movie was that?
Demons, where they went to the movie theater and the girl got cut with a mask and she became a demon, and everyone that she scratched or bit also became a demon.
Was there a spell involved?
Not that we saw. We only just see her put on a mask and she gets cut on her cheek, and just from that she becomes a demon. And there's another one called Rabid Grannies where it's a demon. Well, they didn't really infect any other demons. It was just two demons in that movie, really.
But the bait, like I'm pretty sure, like at the end of the day, because either through a virus or through an actual zombie, that's how you become a zombie. It's because you're infected by something.
But you even noticed, put on your list, Night of Living Dead. They weren't infected by anything. They just came back from the dead.
Yeah. Well,
now virus, I think you can have virus zombies.
Didn't Barbara's brother get turned into a zombie, or did he just die?
I do not remember.
Yeah,
it's been so long since I've seen that movie.
Zombie. Yeah, you guys let us know if Barbara's brother got turned into a zombie, because she was the only one who made it into the house. And so when they were first in the grave,
cemetery.
Yeah, when they were first in the cemetery, the ones who dug themselves up were not. There were way more people surrounding the house. So where did they come from? Yeah, the Night of the Living Dead, I'm not sure if they were in, but like, remember the newscaster at the end? Because like there was a wide infection, not just at the house. That's why, you know, they shot the last man standing, because they didn't know if it was a zombie or not, because
that part is actually what's the word, ambiguous.
Yeah, and
because George A. Romero wanted people to think whether did they shoot him because they thought he was a zombie, or did they shoot him because he was black?
Right. And granted, I absolutely agree with you on that. But the radio, remember, they were saying that there were other outbreaks. And so again, because they're using the word outbreak, that's like what is almost synonymous in every single zombie movie. It's an outbreak. It's not.
You have modern zombies, not the original zombie movies.
Fair.
1930s and 1940s zombie movies. Yeah, the first zombie movies of the 30s. I don't know if there was any in the 20s, but I am familiar with the 30s and the 40s. They were usually connected with voodoo. Somebody did like a voodoo something and brought the zombies.
And that's a zombie, but it's necromancy, because voodoo zombies are risen from the dead with a spell. So that's
so really what we have is just different categories of zombies.
Okay, I'll take that. Like. I'll take that. I'll buy that. Yeah. Okay, but just normally when there's a necromancer, that zombie is under the control of the person who raised it. They come alive to do that person's bidding. Other zombies, when they come back alive, they're just chewing on people, or like, you know.
Well, then my movies still count, because Frankenhooker did not listen to the dude that brought her back to life. In ReAnimator, those zombies didn't listen to Herbert West. They didn't give a damn what Herbert West was talking about. They was trying to kill him.
Oh my
They
God.
weren't controlled by any. They were uncontrollable.
Wow. I don't even know, Shasha. Wow.
I definitely want to see the conversation in the comments of what makes a zombie. This is going to be great.
This is going to be great. So you guys, what did you think of our list? Are there any that I'm really surprised? I'm actually really surprised that our list were so I at least thought there would be more.
Yeah, same here. I was last week, I was like, I told you, I don't think I can come up with 10 zombie movies I like. And then come to find out
20 movies later.
Mhm.
Yeah. Super good. This is super awesome, you guys. So yeah, let us know what you think in the comments. You guys, we should ask them, like, let's take a poll. What do you guys want us to talk about?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Also, write your top 10 zombie movies that you love in the comment section. So that'll be fun. What I'll do is make a poll on the community page that they can click on and vote.
I like it. Okay, yeah. So you guys, I think this is where we're gonna, do we have anything else to talk about, Shasha?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. So I think this is where we're gonna end the show.
Okay, you guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Shasha, go ahead and take us off the air.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Coast to Coast Horror with Crystal and Shasha, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.